Hey, good morning. Welcome back to Developmental Psychology Online. This is Patrick Smith. I'm really excited to be with you. This last week we did this wonderful. I enjoyed it. I think it's wonderful, wonderful assignment with the children's book. A couple of people have asked me about that. They're like, "Well, what if I read a book and it really doesn't have a moral message? Or what if I read the book and it's really not kind of lightweight on cognitive development or reading skill development or whatever?" And I guess I really don't want you to look for something that might not be there. But what I would like you to see is that a children's book isn't just a story. It does hit on a lot of levels of development. Um, Remember, development is largely subjective, so kids are probably going to remember getting different things from books, maybe things that you would read now and you go, well, it's not there. As far as moral development, and I think I tend to kind of see moral development in lots of places. So one, I think people are kind of scared of it. So they think, well, I don't want my child to, I don't want to like, you know, I don't know, manipulate my child into believing something. Everybody has got to make up their own decisions. But that doesn't mean that we don't show children the consequences of their actions, that we sort of guide them about things that are acceptable and unacceptable. So those are the kinds of things that we end up seeing in books as far as moral development. And if you just look at the characters, look at what happens to the characters. I think Katina, you were mentioned in a story called Cat Traps. I think it was the Cat Traps or something. That was the book that you read. Very good book to learn about consequences, the cat's choices or lack of choices or whatever, and what are the outcomes. Shanika, you mentioned a book called Rainbow Fish, which encourages children supposedly to share. What a great moral skill there. Jonathan mentioned a book called Gingerbread Man, and the gingerbread man who, the person who wins out, who gets to eat the gingerbread, is the person who actually hasn't been trying to do what the other people have been doing, but instead just simply uses his wits. Well, then what a wonderful thing to teach children to do is to think things through and not just to do what it first comes to mind, but to think through consequences and stuff like that. Marla had a really nice little book. It sounded like one leaves, two leaves, something like that. Well, that would well, without reading the book, it does sound like it might have to do with counting. And that is really an important thing, especially nowadays when we're seeing kids go to school and later on we find they're no good at math or whatever. Why wouldn't it be good to get children used to numbers and what the numbers mean and their relationship with one another when they're little and when they're first reading and all? Um, anyway, lots of good not Christian books, sorry, children's books out there. You could go through the children's section. You could probably do this exercise about any one of them, but it is really cool to be experiencing what you all think are your favorites. Anyway, we are continuing our discussion this week of children in the middle childhood years, and so I kind of think the whole point of middle childhood is for all of us to go back in our memories to re-experience those elementary school years, because you'll find that unlike middle school and high school where you're usually taught very specific pieces of information that you're supposed to remember the rest of your life, elementary school is more about becoming a good student, finding out what that means to be a good student, and then also working toward learning to pay attention, to control oneself, to follow directions, and that kind of thing. So as we continue to read, I would like to ask you to continue to try to remember what it was like to be in elementary school. I hope you all have a great week. Take care of yourselves, and I will see you next week.